Just when you thought things could not get any stranger in Congress, guess what? They actually do. Check out this clip from the floor that happened this morning.
This has been a difficult and contentious week in which darker spirits seem to have been at play in the People's House. In your most holy name, I now cast out all spirits of darkness from this chamber.
Oh, I have to bring in our 360 view on this, and we bring in our political panel, and Steve Malzberg, conservative commentator, and Mitch Ceasar, former Florida State Party chair. I'm going to start with you because you're right here in front of me, Steve, and what was that? You know, some claims are that it was an exorcism on the floor of the House. Is that? I've seen the movie. It didn't look like that.
No heads were spinning around. No. But it did seem like an exorcism. He did say, though, and he made it perfectly clear that he was speaking of both sides. He wasn't trying to be partisan in any way, shape, or form. He meant it for the right and the left, the Democrats and the Republicans. And it's been a crazy week. And this is, a chaplain who's been through some the turbulence of his own when he was let go by Ryan, then he wasn't let go by Ryan. So I guess he feels that this was the best thing to do and send a message, and maybe it'll work.
I don't know. Maybe a God is great, God is good prayer might have been a good one for this morning, considering how everything is polarized. Mitch, I have to ask you, was the chaplain out of line by his prayer this morning?
He really was, and we live in very, very tumultuous times. I agree it was an exorcism that failed. Maybe he should have gone to the White House, and then if the president didn't perform Twitter for 48 hours, then we knew maybe it worked. Specifically, these are very difficult times, yes, for everybody, but frankly, I think for the American people, forget about Democrats or Republicans. Obviously, I would disagree with Steve a little bit. Yes, it was put in a very nonpartisan way, but it was right after timing. Look at sequence, look at context. It was right after the president's rally, which was hatred-filled. He focuses on the worst elements of people's personality. He works on fear. That's a big part of his base. And specifically, look at the crowd. Look, Steve and I are both Jewish, but it really was reminiscent to me of the 1930s and the rallies I used to see on reels of Germany and of Hitler. And I've never invoked that.
That is obscene, Mitch. You should be ashamed of yourself as a Jew.
You should be ashamed
you are
to be silent.
Disgusting.
You should be ashamed to be silent.
This is a man who's been supporting Israel.
Okay, hold on.
This was reminiscent of rallies in anger, and when you saw the faces of some of the folks.
Oh, the
and I'll give you an
faces.
example.
Yeah.
This is all modeling by President Trump. He broke out a new level of merchandising for this particular rally. There were shirts that said, "F off, we are full." And I'm abbreviating. It actually said the whole word out there. And there were hats and shirts that said similar things. This is feeding on hatred. This is feeding on fear. This is not who America is. But unfortunately, Donald Trump has decided and calculated to do a campaign that's not based on anything positive. He should be talking about the economy.
Well, hold on.
He's not.
Mitch, I want to get Steve in here, because before we move on to the policy, I want to talk about Steve. The response, that was a pretty heavy charge there.
Well, all they had to do for a T-shirt was take the words of that disgusting congresswoman who said we're going to impeach the mother effer, and she defends that to this day. I didn't hear you objecting to that, or maybe AOC, who claims I let you talk. I let you talk. Maybe the one who claims there are concentration camps that we're running, that Trump is running in this country. You're just feeding into the hatred of Omar, the biggest anti-Semite in the House of Representatives, and you're defending these three or four. How dare you? You invoke your Judaism, and then you defend the anti-Semites and the race baiters?
You didn't hear me defend anybody except say what the president said.
Okay, so that's being said. Do you defend what these four women, what they have said, Mitch? I have to ask you, because there have been some things, if we're going to bring up our faith in this, there have been some very insulting things. And now you have an initiative in Congress, which she introduced, the timing's interesting, that actually wants to protect BDS and say that, no, let's boycott Israel as long as there's these what they consider to be the abuses that are going on against the Palestinians.
Listen, I don't hold the positions they hold on Israel. As Speaker Pelosi has said, there are 4 votes in Congress. Do they reflect some folks? Maybe, but not the majority of the congressional delegation or the majority of Democrats in the United States. The problem is this is diversion again. This is a group of 4 Congress people who frankly lost on a key vote to impeach yesterday because the leadership in the Democratic Party did not support it at this time. And instead, they're going to talk about these Congress people. The problem is the President of the United States, the President, not a congressperson, said what he said. And somebody eventually, unfortunately, is going to get hurt because of working these people up. It smells of Charlottesville to me all over again.
Well, I want to give I want to give fair time to Steve on this one. Steve, your response on this, and talking about what Omar did introduce today on the floor.
Right, and don't forget, she said in the bill that she introduced, she compared it to boycotting the Nazi regime. So she equated Israel with the Nazis. That doesn't bother Mitch either. She's just a congresswoman. She's not president. So now congresswomen and senators, I guess, could say anything anti-Semitic or hateful that they want. Look, these women are out of control. This whole Congress is out of control. The left, you know, people have gotten hurt. And you know who they are? People with Trump hats, with MAGA hats, people who support Trump. Funny, huh? Funny?
Ridiculous.
If it was your child, would you laugh?
Comment. A ridiculous comment.
Really?
Well, that's the thing. I think across the board, there's a lot of things going on. Well, you know, I got to wrap us up on this comment. Where do we go from here? Do you think there's going to be any chance we can ratchet back down the talk, or is this only going to escalate? Because we're still a year and a half out from the election. Steve?
I think you're seeing it right here.
Yeah, but if I can get the
with
two of you
that attitude, the country's divided. It's going to remain divided. And bring forth those 4 women. Let them be the face of the Democrat Party, and it'll be a landslide for Trump.
And ultimately, it's what the people decide on Election Day. That's the thing. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen, on this conversation.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.